What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Game Winner here, and today I'm just going to be going through all of the Black Ops 2 maps so far, minus the Vengeance DLC because I'm on PlayStation Network and I do not have Vengeance yet. And I will just go through, say which maps I like, what weapons I'd recommend using if I have a specific type of weapon I like to use, and also my opinions of the maps because there are some that I really like and some that I despise. And speaking of despising maps, let's start off with Aftermath. There's not really that much to say. It's a large map. Um, when you're playing demo, I believe it's it's the B plant site that's super hard to take control of. It's ridiculous because during if A is already taken out, it's impossible to get through to B because there's just so many snipers. I mean, there's nothing you can do. You just get picked off. The only game mode I'd recommend it for is S&D, which is actually I've played some S&D in there. It's actually pretty fun, but otherwise it's a really horrible map. Weapon types I'd recommend are probably snipers, LMGs if you're good at using them, and semi and burst assault rifles. Next is cargo, and everybody liked this at the beginning of the game, but I didn't really like it, but I've grown to like it somewhat. Just because it's my map to just screw around because I'm usually an SMG and shotgun person. Sorry about that. And I essentially ARs work on the map. Like when I run an AR, it's either a burst or like semi-automatic. But that's my map to just practice sniping on and just generally use maybe a riot shield and a pistol or something like that. Because there's so many ways you can just sneak around the map and use different types of weapons. Except shotguns, never use shotguns on that map. And unless you have an MSMC or a Chicom, don't run SMGs. Overall, it's a decent map. Next map, Carrier. I've had one really good gameplay on that map where I went like I think 56-2 against some random nooblets and I think kill confirmed. Otherwise, I always seem to start off with a bad spawn and then from there on I just get demolished, which I don't like the map simply because one side is way more unbalanced than the other. And as such, it makes the game a lot harder to play, and it just generally just makes me mad. So I don't vote for the map usually, but when it pops up, I don't leave the lobby. Drone. I haven't actually seen that map in forever because like nobody will play it. Okay, here's a little bit. Demolition. It's fine to play. Actually, somewhat so, but B is annoying to get to because you always have campers with like Chartfinder LMGs. And then my favorite. This is the single best S&D map, and it's just really good for S&D because it's a huge map. Well, at least by Black Ops 2 standards. So if you're gonna play on that map, it's already been selected. Unless it's demo or S&D, leave the lobby immediately. That's my recommendation. For range, not shotguns. High rate of fire SMGs are fine. Longer range SMGs I wouldn't recommend because like there aren't any areas that are specifically that range. ARs are good, assuming you take the backsides, and then LMGs and snipers will dominate the middle of the map, assuming you have good cover. Next is Express. I honestly really like this map. Both sides I feel are really balanced because it almost feels like it's a mirror of the other side, which I enjoy because it makes it so that one side's not more unbalanced than the other. Um, there's not really that much to say besides the only weapon that doesn't really work on this map is LMGs, just from personal experience. I mean, snipers, there's plenty of good areas where you can just pick people off if you're getting a good like head glitch or something. ARs dominate the map usually. Of course, if you're in any of the smaller areas, SMGs are really good. And what the hell, throw in a shotgun because I've done it before. And if you're playing like one of my favorite game modes to play it on is multi-team hardpoint on that. If you're running a shotgun and multi-team hardpoint on that, you're going to get at least a 2 KD. Well, even if you don't get a 2 KD, your score is going to be like 9, 10,000 because it'll get really fast paced. So it's a really good map. Recommend using whatever you feel comfortable using. On to personal favorite of everyone, Hijacked. Hijacked is pretty fun. I mean, the map's pretty balanced. One side's slightly better than the other, but that's personal preference for whoever wants the other sides. But shotguns, SMGs, snipers actually work well. LMGs I would not recommend, just because even if you're camping, you can get 3 to 4 kills. Then if somebody pushes up into one of the buildings where 90% of the time if you're camping with an LMG, that's where you're going to be, you'll just get demolished. Because they'll just come up behind you, and LMGs aren't really that suited. Well, they could be, but since most people like that are going to be using target finders, they just get demolished by SMGs and shotguns at a range. So if you're going to do some kind of camping mechanism, sniping, if you're good at it, or some kind of assault rifle, usually an AN, is really good to camp with on that map. Once again, I do not endorse camping unless you are effectively doing it without like too broken of a weapon. Like if you're in an area that's like a power point of the map, which I'll get to some power points of certain maps. This one doesn't really have any, but if you're controlling certain power points, then you're doing good. Next map is Meltdown. What can I say? It's in the MLG circuit, and it's MLG quality, so it's good enough for just about everyone. Really fun, really good map. M8A1's my personal recommendation. MSMC's good as well. Drawing inspiration from mostly from the MLG circuit, but probably a DSR 50 is pretty good as well. I've seen people use those. Overflow. It's a pretty fun map. It's kind of hard to describe which side's which. I don't really see it pop up much in like last time I saw it pop up was multi-team. Like it pops up quite frequently in multi-team actually, and it's actually pretty fun in multi-team, especially multi-team hardpoint because once again shotguns are good, SMGs are good. Snipers are somewhat good on this map, but I'd prefer people. Well, I wouldn't prefer people to use, but it's better to use an LMG on that map, just because you can get away with like closing down. Although I would recommend using a suppressor if you plan on doing that. ARs, once again, they fit in on just about every map, so does it for Overflow. Plaza, good map. If you're planning on going on either side of the map, like the dance club and I think it's like a shopping mall. I'm not 100% sure. I haven't played on that map in a while, but that area is good for SMGs and shotguns. You can go pretty far with an SMG if you're going around the outskirts of the map and trying to outflanking. Just recommend if you're doing either like flanking around the map at all, you're going to want to run a suppressor. This is probably the map that I would recommend suppressors the most because there are tons of flanking routes, and if you're using one of the flanking routes, you're going to be wanting to use a suppressor. And if you're not using one of the flanking routes, you're also going to want to be using a suppressor because somebody who's using that flanking route will see you on the radar because you're firing with an unsuppressed weapon. They will come up behind you and completely annihilate you. So use a suppressor unless you know your team has your back. Like you guys have map control complete on at least half the map. Then you don't have to worry about it as much. Next is Raid. I really like Raid. Good for the MLG circuit. Any weapon type's good except for I'd say LMGs in this map. There's not really any power points on this map because both sides they have their own perks to having. The only power point, if there was any, would be that little house that's near the circular area. That's kind of an overlook. Not the one on A side, but the one on C side. Because that actually gives you a perfect overlook of the entire circular area, which could give you control if you're playing, once again, hardpoint or S&D or demolition. There's plenty of things that you play. And B, or B-Dom in Domination. That also is a really good overlook for it. Next we have Slums. Blue House Shotgun. My personal preference. Uh, Also the little houses, or the what's it? Mechanics house. Can't believe I forgot that name. If you're controlling a side, if you're controlling that like middle area that leads into your spawn, but is between the middle of the map and that's another good area for shotguns, possibly SMGs, depending on if you can close the range before they can kill you. From there, assault rifles are really good on this map because the entire middle of the map is dominated by them. I've seen LMGs do really well because you lay prone in one of the entrances that spills into the middle of the map, and anybody that walks in front of you, assuming you have like teammates covering the sides or just pushing up through like blue house, and maybe one teammate in a power position in mechanics garage, that way they can make sure that you don't get outflanked, and then you can just take a complete map, pretty much 3/4 map control, which is really advantageous. Um, there are power points on this map, as I said. Mechanics Garage is very powerful. Blue House is extremely important, and you do get a slightly faster route from A spawn. However, that said, if you have one person go over to Mechanics and the rest of your team push over to Blue from that, odds are from C spawn. Odds are A spawn. At least half of them are going. Probably 2 people will go into Blue House, and the other 4 will go to the middle of the map. Sure, they'll be able to overrun and probably push people into Blue House. But from Blue House, if they get that control and they have Mechanics Garage control, they have a really good chance of winning the game. Because that pretty much forces whoever is stuck out of those 2 into into just like a third of the map, which is really leaves you at a disadvantage because you have less room to maneuver. Next map is Standoff. I didn't really care for it that much at the beginning of the game before they nerfed the Remington 870. That's for one specific reason. Everybody ran it on that map. And I was just completely mad because it seemed like every engagement was the right range for that, and you would just get annihilated by it all the time. That being said, now, not really anybody runs the Remington, and it's dominated by whatever you want to use. I mean, it's a good map for any range. I mean, riot shields can do well on this map, like riot shield and a pistol, because you can push up and just be really effective with it. There aren't really that many power points in this map. I mean, Grandma's house is like the only area that's a power point, but even that's not that much of an advantage because assuming your opponent's playing it correctly, they can just push around the other side, and then Grandma's house has like no advantage. On to the next map, which is Turbine. Turbine is, I haven't played on it in a while. S&D is really good on that map. Demolition is extremely good on that map. Hardpoint, not so much. Domination, it's pretty good, I guess. B-Dom for domination isn't the best, but like that area is really good for campers to just mow people down there and try to cap it. But that being said, it's overall a pretty good map. Very, very large, at least for Black Ops 2 standards. It might even be somewhat large for Call of Duty in general standards. And as such, shotguns, no. SMGs, MSMC, possibly a PDW if you're running long barrel, and Chicom possibly if you're running long barrel or you know what you're doing and can keep your engagement at a certain distance. Burst weapons, usually that's the best option, or an AN-94. Don't recommend any other assault rifles for that. LMGs are extremely effective on this map, not gonna lie. And then sniper rifles, just any sniper rifle, probably a DSR I'd recommend. And special weapons, not really. I mean, a pistol person can actually do pretty well in this map, but no riot shield. That's just a bad idea in general on this map. Too large. Yemen. This is a pretty good map. Yes, it is MLG. circuit. And once again, multiple ranges. Don't recommend an LMG. There are no power points in this map because for every side, each side has its own perk to having. And if you're playing any objective game modes, it's usually going to result in sort of a close game, usually. I actually quite like this map, but it can be annoying at points sometimes when somebody, just like your opponent's entire enemy team, is just running LMGs and snipers and just they're not necessarily spawn trapping you, but they're making it so that you can't do anything, and they're not making a push at all either. So it's once again stalemated. Now for the first DLC map, Nuketown 2025. What's to say about it? It's Nuketown. I've actually found a really good area. There are power points on this map, definitely. Like the van in the corner of the map. More specifically, closer to the buses. That van, or that car. Well, hover car now. That's a really good power point. Like, I can go, like, 2 games in a row. MA-Day 1, it was my first time using it. The first 2 games I used it, I went 40 plus with only, like, 15 deaths. And it's a really good area to hold down. I mean, you hold that down. If you have a guy one guy with, like, an M8 or something, and he's holding down the side over by the sign, and then you have one person with, like, a suppressed LMG or something, holding down the spawn trap on, I believe it's ADOM, yes, it is ADOM. And you can just completely wreck your opponent. Like, spawn traps on this map are ridiculously effective. Not gonna lie there. The other PowerPoint that I found that I'm pretty sure other YouTubers have found out, but I might be wrong, is you lie down by the sign when you have A control. And if they're moving from B, you can actually, if you have like an M8 or A1, which is what I recommend if you're using burst fighters, you can actually make sure that they can't move down that entire side of the map towards B-Dom. Unless they outflank you. And if your team is doing effectively and they also have control of the car that I was talking about just a minute ago, you can pretty much make it so that they cannot get B whatsoever. Unless they get up their score streaks. Which, if you're being effective at it, they shouldn't be able to get past a UAV. So, you can get in a pretty good downward spiral. Like, they get a lightning strike in, they just call in all their score streaks and stuff at the beginning of the match. They don't have to have stuff left. All they have to do is be able to get those 2 positions and hold it down and make sure that you aren't able to just get a good score streak. Because all they have to do is play slightly defensively. You can't get up their score streaks, and as such, you can't root them out of their holes, and you just lose the game. Pretty much instantly game over. On to Revolution, we have Hydro. I have mixed feelings about this map. The only game mode that I really care for it on is party game modes. It's like fun for party game modes, but I don't really care for it for anything else. Weapons types, probably LMGs, ARs, longer range SMGs, and yeah, snipers are all good on that map. Grind. Probably my personal favorite map of this entire Call of Duty so far. It is really fun, and it is a really small map that's a skate park. And this is where I decided, like, I watched gameplay since it came out on Xbox a month before PlayStation, and I'm just like, I want to try out shotguns on this map. Try it out to 12:16. I have managed to 2KD on this map ever since it came out. It is a ridiculously fun map. It got me to use shotguns, which I'll come back to later in another map in Revolution, as to I didn't know to use shotguns on that map until after I'd played a good amount of grind and got it mastered. But shotguns on this map rule the roost. Not gonna recommend a KSG just because the amount of tight encounters you're gonna be getting into, you're not gonna have time to aim one slug at somebody. You're gonna want like a Remington, or not really gonna recommend an S12. I hate that thing. It just seems weak. But the 12:16 is really good at crowd control. And the keyword there is crowd control, which means I would recommend running not quick draw, fast mags on it. Because what I use is even if I know the person's dead, I will fire like the full 4 burst. then I will reload. That way you can quickly be ready, because I have a gameplay on my channel from 1216 in that map. You can go up against 3-4 people from an enemy team all at once, and you're gonna want to be able to empty your entire mag into all of them, and then quickly be able to reload, because around the corner is another 2 guys after they respawn. Really tight, not gonna recommend a really tight map. Not gonna recommend snipers. Not gonna recommend LMGs. Not gonna recommend ARs, SMGs, and shotguns. Riot Shield, not really, because with the amount of people using shotguns, they will just outflank you and completely destroy you. Fast paced, love it. Next map is Downhill. Haven't had much experience on this map except for multi-team and some TDM, but it's decent. Snow maps. I'm not really a fan of snow maps, I'll be honest. So my opinion might be a bit biased, but I don't really. It's not the funnest map. It's not the worst map. It's not the best map. Just don't run shotguns. Don't. Long range SMGs are fine. ARs, any kind, are good. LMGs, not necessarily the best option. Just from personal experience, you're going to want more precision accuracy. So snipers are probably going to be your best bet. And finally, Mirage, where the shotgun story comes into play. Now, when I first started playing this map, for the first, 2 weeks, I was getting demolished all the time. Even following guides from, people on YouTube. And I was just, why is this happening to me? It's because there were a lot of snipers on the map. And I'm not the best at dealing with snipers. At least until I figured out what I was going to do. So I was trying ARs, SMGs, LMGs, and just getting completely annihilated. I'd go positive occasionally. And then I got grindmastered, and I'm just like, okay, I want to go for gold 1216, so let me just use the 1216 class no matter what. So I go into a match of Mirage TDM, and all I can think of is, okay, I'm gonna use a shotgun this map, but I'm probably gonna get annihilated. So what's my plan? Okay, I'm gonna stay in the middle of the map. I do, and I manage a 2 KD. And I'm just like, okay, maybe this is just something happening. Maybe it's just luck. A few more games later on that map with the shotgun, I'm still having 2 KD every time, and it's just, I'm doing really well. And I realized, because most people are using longer range weapons, if you rush them into the middle of the map with a shotgun, they have no options, assuming you're playing effectively. And sorry about the cough, guys. Otherwise, for that map, no LMGs, SMGs, no SMGs. Shotguns I'd recommend, actually, surprisingly. Snipers and ARs. And on to Uprising, Encore. What can I say about Encore? It's ARs and snipers and SMGs. No shotguns, no LMGs. It's just middle of the range fighting. I don't really care for the map, but it's. I mean, I don't care for it because I haven't played it that much. So, what can I say? Magma. Fuck this map. Just fuck it to hell. Everybody's like, oh, Magma's not that bad. I despise this map. There's just something about it that makes me just want to. I just hate it. What I can recommend is snipers. Probably not ARs, but SMGs are fine. No LMGs and no shotguns. Studio. Back from Black Ops 1 firing range. Can't go wrong with firing range. It's really fun. And I like the new rehash. Hardpoint on this map is uber fun. I really enjoy it. Domination, BDOM. In this game, it just seems harder to do anything. Because Black Ops 1 was following up on Modern Warfare 2, so they weakened the power grenades quite a bit. Even though they're from different companies, they just did in general. And then don't even get me started about Modern Warfare 3 grenades. but it's kind of hard in this game because grenade damage is actually pretty good. And if you have somebody with a war machine and you have control of B-Dom, anybody that tries to take it, you're on the house that's right next to B-Dom. You just drop a grenade launcher shell from your war machine down there and get like a triple kill. I mean, so this is going to be a quick score trick recommendation. Lightning strikes. Not going to recommend Hellstorms, but I'm going to recommend War Machine. And sentry guns placed in power positions that you can defend can absolutely annihilate your opponents. So that's my recommendations there. For weapons, use what you feel fits. Snipers aren't necessarily the best in this map, but everything else is fair game. And finally, Vertigo. It's decent. I mean, nothing exceptional, but it's fairly good. I I I usually use like an SMG on this map. Like MMS is what I'd like to recommend to people on this map. The MMS, which means you can either use SMGs or assault rifles, which is the preferred range on this map. No super small range, no large range. So that's my recommendation for this map. And that concludes it for this video, guys. And as always, rate, comment, subscribe, and peace.